Okay.
go.
So now we have enough to actually, oh, and there's Ann. So now we have enough board members to actually accomplish our board member goals. So let's call this meeting to order. Pledge to whatever flags you feel like. All right, and on to the auditor's report.
Unmute myself. Thank you. Yes, I don't know if everybody has a copy. If you want me to share my screen.
Yes,
any-
please. I have 15 pages printed out, but I think we'd like to share the screen.
I don't know who the host is that.
I'm the host.
Ron is the host.
Yeah, hold on, let's go back into this. I haven't had to share a screen before.
I think you just have to allow me to share under participants maybe, or.
Yeah, it said.
I'm having a little trouble. Think I'm finally in.
Try that, Kathy.
There we go. Can everybody see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you see the report to the Board of Trustees up? Is that what you see?
Yes.
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 Great.
What are your audit results?
Okay, great. Well, we will get right into the report. Shout out if you have questions along the way. Looking at this, and I can't see necessarily everybody on both screens here, so shout out. I'll try to hear you if you have questions. So the first part of the report, we're going to talk about some required communications, some internal control matters, and then we'll look briefly at the actual audited financial statements. Probably not as much time on that as there's just lots of details in there, but if I'm going too fast or you have questions, just stop me. So in the required communications, if you remember, this would be a place we would talk about how the audit went, if we've had any difficulties in the audit, any disagreements with management, audit adjustments, those kinds of things. And generally, you know, we did not have any disagreements with management or difficulties in the audit. We were able to come on site and complete the work, so that was great. So the only part of this audit, this report, just point out a couple things, and I highlighted some of them so you could see them more clearly. Just wanted to point out there was no initial selection of accounting policies, so no change in accounting standards or accounting policies that you needed to follow for the financial statements. Down in the bottom section, I highlighted, we did have a, we'll talk about adjustments in a minute, but we had about 22,000 of additional accrued payroll that was not recorded. So that's just telling you that we passed on that entry. But on the next page, there's a laundry list, I realize, and you probably can't see it on screen very well, a laundry list of adjustments that we made. If you remember, each year we do this type of thing to make adjustments from cash basis to accrual basis. Many of those are based on information that Holly is providing to us, but we're making the entry. So I'm not going to go through each one, but I will draw your attention down to the bottom right-hand side where the net income effect on your preliminary numbers was to increase net income by 154,000. Which you can see made up of a lot of different items. I wasn't going to look at in detail, but know the net number. On the next page, we'll also point out in a couple different places. If you remember, we do a what's called a modified auditor's opinion. Qualified or modified because you do not record the full actuarial calculation for post-retirement health benefits, sick time type of things. You continue to pay for retirees health insurance, but you're not, which would technically require you to pay for an actuarial calculation, excuse me, of those and cost benefit evaluation by you in the past has indicated that's not necessary, but we do have to qualify the opinion for that. So pointing that out in a couple different places. Excuse me. Next report, I highlighted here, while we do have some advisory comments and significant deficiencies that we've had in the past, in the middle of the page, you've requested and we have indicated in here that we did not identify any material weaknesses. Remember, the advisory comments can be in kind of 3 different buckets, with material weaknesses being the most severe, if you will. So we're indicating in here that to let you know that we did not find any material weaknesses, though they could exist, that we didn't find. On the next letter, though, just identifying that we did identify some items, though, that didn't rise to the material weakness, and that's on this page. The accrual basis transactions are one item on here that we've had every year that I've been doing the audit, just that we do a lot of significant help in converting your cash statements to accrual basis, as you don't have that skill set necessarily in-house, which is fine. Just need to let you know that, and so that's why we have all those entries that we make. The second one was a little new, and because of the remote environment in Zoom, I just wanted to make sure that you are all comfortable with what your policy is and making sure that you're seeing the things that you should be seeing or think that you're seeing, and then that gets documented. We were noticing that, you know, in the past, the board approves all the bills, and I know you mentioned that right from the beginning, that you need to do that for the director to sign them because of the remote environment. We weren't noticing that the full list of what you approved, there was a total dollar amount, but not a list of the items that were approved. So just wanted to make sure you were aware of that and make sure that you are approving a list, not just a dollar amount. If that's your control or if that's your procedure, that just because you're virtual or remote, making sure that the minutes document the actual bills that you approved, not just the total amount. So a little bit of a nuance, but just wanted to point it out. In the last section is the actual audited financial statements. So again, this is a lot of activity, and as you recall, several years ago, we determined we needed to do governmental financial statements, which go on forever and are not as easy to read as what a different type of entity would be. So I'm not gonna focus on everything in here, but I'm gonna try to point out the things that I feel are meaningful. So again, on the auditor's opinion, again, we're qualifying the opinion for the same reason I talked about before. So our opinion instead says, in our opinion, except for the effects of not recording the post-retirement benefits are fairly stated. The next section is kind of a summary that governmental entities are required to have a management's discussion and analysis. And we help you through kind of some of this verbiage. But what I like about it at the bottom is it kind of summarizes some of the financial information really high level. So you can see 2020 compared to 2019, generally things relatively comparable. One thing that jumps out for sure is that long-term liabilities from 451,000 to 1,363,000. It seems like a huge number, and it is. And the increase is all related to the actuarial calculation of your pension plan, which the state does. The state retirement system does that calculation as a whole for the entire state, and then tells you what your share is. And that actuarial calculation is just huge numbers. Based on where discount rates were and where market value was from 19 compared to 20. So a huge number, but it's not currently payable amounts. They're long-term liabilities related to the pension plan, and all an actuarial calculation. On the income statement side, again, really summarizing it between property tax income and on all other income. You're well aware of the property tax income, which would include, you know, the pilot payments. In other revenues, it generally stays pretty consistent for you. One of the increases that happened this year, and we'll see it later on, where you can see it in the bottom line too, in the change in net position or net income. You did have a request from an estate for over $260,000 in 2020. So that was something different and new revenue in 2020 as compared to 2019. And that's really the real change from the prior year to this year, is that being included in revenue and dropping to the bottom line, with net income going from $229,000 to $496,000. You can see, interesting enough, in the middle here too, under library materials, program and operations, $902,000 compared to $735,000. And a lot of that is you didn't have the programming and things going on because of the pandemic. So you would expect those expenses to be lower. The nuance was salaries and employee benefits. A lot of that, again, is not just cash outflow, that is also expense related to expensing some of the items related to the pension plan, which again is numbers that are given to you by the state, and not amounts that are funded out in just 1 year. So that was really a high level. So I'm not going to go through a lot of the details in some of the other schedules, because I think that gives a good synopsis of where your balance sheet and income statement is. But nonetheless, you can see statement of net assets. As I said, I'm not going to go through this detail. And you see it's a lot of numbers because of governmental financial statements. Again, pointing out on this sheet that net income, if you will, 3 lines from the bottom, of $496,000 compared to last year of $229,000. And then we get into the footnotes. Not a lot of changes, and again, required disclosure from the prior year. Just going to skip right through it. There is a significant amount of, starting on page 17, Note E, retirement benefits, a lot of disclosure again related to the pension plans. All required disclosure, all of it comes from the state and telling you what the amounts are and what that disclosure is. So just a lot of information regarding how the actuarial calculation is determined and what the assumptions are. If you have trouble sleeping at night, you could, maybe read it and it'll put you right to sleep. Lots of information there. I'm not going to go through the detail. And then on page 23, because we're still in the pandemic, all financial statements are just indicating that there's still uncertainty related to the full impact of the pandemic, and that's in a nutshell what this is saying. And then some required supplemental information that are required in governmental, indicating budgets to actuals. And again, I highlighted a few items in here. One of the things, construction related stuff you don't have in your operational budget generally. So the state aid amounts, your budget doesn't include, but the actuals include some state aid for construction related items like the boiler. The other contributions, you don't budget, but again, that amount includes the $260,000 estate funding. Total personnel actually came in under budget. And capital improvements, again, you don't budget for that, but the $327,000 is primarily the boiler. Over $200,000 as well as the sign out front that was $50,000 or so. So the net of those numbers for a total positive to budget of $552,000. And again, some pages of required disclosures related to the pension. Just lots of information that are required disclosures. So that was really quick, but tried to give you the high level of how was operational really happen and how did the audit go. Which was great. And we were able to finish the work in the week they were there. We had a few straggling questions, but Holly was completely available to us. I should stop sharing here if I can figure out how to do that. Guess I don't share or unshare very well. Why is it not showing up?
I
It
just
says
want
stop sharing.
just one
Did you take it
thing,
off?
Yeah,
before,
Okay,
Um,
go ahead. I couldn't hear you.
okay, I read this before, and I think you explained it, but I want to be very clear. When you said not all items are approved were listed individually in board minutes, we do get a packet that lists each item by item, but then at the meeting, we just approve the final bit. But it means we've seen them all. They're
That's
not-
great, and I was hoping that that's what you would say. Your board minutes, the documentation of the board minutes that we received to review didn't have that detail.
Yeah,
So
I
we
think-
should-
I think what needs to happen in the future is we make sure we send out the bills that were paid at executive committee along with the bills to be paid at the board meeting so that they're all included in the public record.
Right, which you did that this time. So yeah, I
Yes.
think that should go
Yeah.
forward should definitely be the policy.
Yes, we just need to make sure we continue to do it.
Okay, okay. That takes care of it.
Yeah, not
So-
a, I mean, I think, I think that there were eyes on it, for sure. It just was difficult for us to see in the documentation necessarily, that's what happened.
Okay.
So just to confirm, you did not find any evidence of any misdoing, mishandling, or other financial impropriety?
No, we did not, although, the audit is, as you know, the audit is not intentionally meant to find fraud. But if we become aware of a risk or we become aware of something, we would, and we definitely have brainstorming discussions to determine if fraud were to happen, where would it be? And we do tests around where those risks are. But we're not giving an opinion on that for sure, but we do evaluate that in the audit and assess the risk of that, and we did not find anything.
Okay.
Good. Glad to hear it.
Does anyone have any additional questions?
One thing I kind of didn't understand, and I'm not really clear about even asking the question, but in that same section where you talked about accrual basis transaction, there was minus 5,000 in grants.
What page are you on?
I don't have it anymore. I just took notes. But it was in that same accrual basis transaction section. Where it
Where we
showed
talk,
there, it said minus 5,000 in grants. Everybody find that? I just wondered what did that mean? I didn't understand. Did that mean we didn't get 5,000 that we expected to get, or what?
I guess I'm not sure where you're seeing that. So let me keep looking here. Anybody else know where she might have seen that? You're talking about the budget to actual?
All I can tell you is it was right after where you had the accrual basis transactions.
So when we give, the advisory comment on accrual basis transactions, we don't give any amounts there. So maybe in the management discussion and analysis, let me try to find that.
Next page after that, there was a list of a lot of figures, and one of them was minus 5,000 in grants.
Are you talking about page 4?
Page 4, where there's corrected misstatements. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, at the bottom, there's minus
Oh,
5,898.
oh, yeah, that's in parentheses there at the bottom.
Right. I didn't, what's that mean?
So that's just other, if that's the page that we're talking about, I don't know if I can share again. The negative 5,898, we just, there's a lot of little
Yeah.
different little amounts in there that we
Right.
didn't list every one.
Oh, so it's just other.
Yeah, it's just other, accumulation of various little things that we didn't list out. I don't have the list in front of me, but small little adjustments that were nuanced ones that were just easier to clean up. That totaled to that number, but didn't make sense to list everyone.
I see.
Does that make sense?
I don't
As
know.
much as any of it makes sense.
I don't, yeah, that's not with it.
I know. It's difficult.
If you're happy that we're not 5,000 off, that's all right with me.
No,
Okay.
any other questions? That's all for me then.
Thank you very much for coming and speaking with us.
Sure, maybe next year we'll be able to see each other face to face.
Oh, wouldn't that be great?
What a not, what a nice idea that would be.
Thank you, Kathy.
All right, I'm all set. Are you all set with me? I'll leave so that you can get back to the rest of your business.
All righty, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you very
thanks. Have a
much.
great night.
Bye-bye.
Okay, has everyone had a chance to review last month's minutes?
To review what?
Last
The
month's
minutes.
Yes.
Does anyone have
Yes.
any corrections, objections, what have you?
No.
All right, yes,
Could I ask something about the marketing committee? Is this a staff marketing committee?
Yes.
And was there any thought to ever, I see that they've asked for a dedicated line item in the budget, and
Yes.
was there going to be something presented tonight about their work?
No, I have a few other things, and to be honest with you, I haven't really reviewed the whole thing with them yet.
I wondered whether that was
Just not prepared.
anything, whether that committee could be shared with our, what other committee? Advocacy committee, that we
Sure.
haven't been able to get started yet. I mean,
You will be
Not-
getting a copy of it when
okay,
it's done making any corrections that needed to be made after the last meeting.
so you're relying on them to do it all.
Well, they wanted to be involved, so they're writing it up.
And are there, how many staff members on that committee?
1, 2, 3, 6.
Okay. Thank you.
all righty. I move that we approve the minutes of last month. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Penny's cat approves, so we're all good. Moving on to the treasurer's report. Has everyone had a chance to see the treasurer's report?
Do we need to vote on the audit at all?
That's coming during my president's report.
All right, I will wait
We will-
patiently.
We'll get to it. Has everyone had a chance to take a look at the financial report? Does anyone have any questions about the financial report?
Were there no other contributions listed? I mean, I see none listed here. It seems like the Women's Club gave a donation to the Big Flats Library, but I don't see anything listed here.
When
I
did they
think
do that?
Yeah, they do. I have that ready to go in. I'm gonna take that to the bank next week, so it'll be on
Read
through
the
May.
letter off.
Okay, thank you.
So,
Mhm.
Alrighty, does anyone else have any questions about the financial report? Would someone like to move it?
I'll move it. It's Ann.
All right, can I get a second?
I'll second. Penny.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the financial report has been approved. Has everyone had a chance to see the new list of unpaid bills that was sent out earlier this afternoon?
Yes. Oh, earlier this afternoon? No, I don't know. I have something as of May 20th. Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Oh, I think there was another one. I
There's
did.
another one this
This
afternoon?
this one has a general fund at $21,614.09.
Okay. What I have is earlier. Yeah.
All right, so everyone check your email if you haven't seen that particular one yet.
That's all right. I can't check it and do this too. All right. What about the grant fund? Was that the same, 147.78?
The grant fund is the same.
I move that we accept the unpaid bills as listed then.
All righty, can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All righty.
Do we need
That-
to vote to have Ron sign the bills?
Yes. Is that you moving that then, Penny?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, can I get a second?
Second,
Second.
Pat,
Pat, thank you. All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, that Ron has approved to pay the bills for this time. On to correspondence.
I'm not sure if I gave you this information before, so I just wanted to go through it again. We received our January pilot disbursement towards the end of April. That was in the amount of $53,414.14. We received a letter from the Club of Big Flats. Enclosed an $865 donation from the Women's Club of Big Flats. These funds are to be used for the Big Flats Library. Please acknowledge receipt of the donation by letting us know how the funds were spent. And we received a donation in the amount of $500 in memory of Jeanette Kaiser. We got this at the end of April. Her mother was a teacher in the school district, Elmira School District, and felt that reading gave everyone an opportunity to learn and to lead better lives.
Oh, how nice.
That's it.
That's it. Okay. So on to the president's report. Now we can approve the audit because we're just going down the list in order. Would anyone like to move that we approve the audit?
I so move.
Okay, can I get a second? All right,
Oh.
thank you, Pam.
Second.
Okay.
Oh, Pam beat you out. All right, all in favor? Aye.
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 All, any opposed?
Nope.
Okay, excellent. So let's see here. What else that is new and going on for me to report? So the negotiation committee had its first negotiations with the
The
with
union
the-
rep.
Yep, and that was on Tuesday. We will be meeting with them again on the 4th. And it's going well so far. Nothing specific to report since we're just, doing the initial exchange of ideas. The mask mandate by the state has been repealed for those of us who are vaccinated. I know Brian Hildreth was sending around stuff for the last couple of days indicating that if a library wants to, they can continue to enforce the mask mandate for staff and visitors. And I guess Ron can probably report on what he thinks on whether or not he's going to change policy or how that's going to work out.
Yeah, I'll do it under my
and-
report.
Okay, great. And yeah, that's basically everything that I have to report in terms of what's going on. Does anyone have any questions about anything I just said? Awesome. Take it away, Ron.
Okay, the first thing I have is the approval of the tax cap override. We're beginning to look at the 2022 budget, and there is the possibility that we may request more than the property tax cap allows. There's this perception that the tax cap allows for a 2% increase, but that is misleading. There's a formula we must use to determine our allowable increase. Unfortunately, the allowable levy growth factor is not released until November. So we have no idea what it's going to be. We go into preparation blind. Because of this, I'm recommending we pass a property tax cap override. I sent out the language to be used. Rachel, do you have that?
I do, and I will read it aloud when I move that motion. Are we ready to move that motion?
Well, we don't know how much you're asking for. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
We're not yet asking for anything. We're just saying that we agree, or that
We
that
want to, and
that we want to override the tax cap.
I see.
The best guidance that we've got is if you are in doubt at all, pass the tax cap override so you're covered. It doesn't mean you're going to exceed it, but it's just nice to have it done just in case you do.
Okay.
I'm going to read the language aloud now, and if anyone has any thoughts or objections, then we can amend as needed. Whereas the adoption of the 2022 budget for the Chemung County Library District may require a tax levy increase that exceeds the tax cap imposed by the state as outlined in General Municipal Law Section 3C adopted in 2011. And whereas General Municipal Law Section 3C expressly permits the library board to override the tax levy limit by a resolution approved by a vote of 60% of qualified board members, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Chemung County Library District voted and approved to exceed the tax levy limit for 2022 by at least the 60% of the Board of Trustees as required by state law on May 20th, 2021. Does anyone have any questions or objections to my resolution that we exceed the tax cap?
I would just like to state that I have firmly hope that we don't have to, that we try to limit it as much as we can, our
Okay.
budget.
Well, because we don't know the extent, can we have another vote on the amount later?
Oh,
Well, you
we'll have
have to-
another vote on the amount once we have the budget finalized. This
Okay,
is just,
all right,
Yeah, you approve the amount when the budget vote, when you approve the budget.
okay.
It's not an issue. We'll do our best to hold it down, but I'm going to be honest with you, I will not promise. I will
Right.
promise that.
I move that we follow that tax cap override resolution.
okay. So you're seconding me because I moved.
Oh,
first,
did
so
you already?
all
Okay,
in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so we are hereby resolved to override the tax cap. Now, you also have, Ron, you have approval of teen library card. We had
Yes.
discussed that at last meeting. You did not send us specific language associated with it, but as I said, we had discussed it. Does anyone have any questions about the teen library card?
I've forgotten. I
Okay,
guess,
Ron, could you
I guess
remind
it
us what
looked
the
good.
policy is?
I think he explained it before.
Yeah, we're going to give them a restricted card, which allows for 3 items to be checked out at a time. Any items, we're not going to limit. I'd like to point out adults get restricted cards if they don't have proof of address. The library policies will be mailed to the teen's parent or guardian. Once we get all the information we need, which is a signature in person, proof of address, etc., the teen can then get a card with unlimited access. Otherwise, the card stays restricted to 3 items. The teen has to have a photo ID to get a card in the first place. A school ID on their phone is okay.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions about any of that?
We did get all of this information several weeks ago. It just wasn't part of the board packet.
Right.
But we
Right.
did
right.
get we did get the explanation.
Right.
I
We
move
did.
that I move that we accept that language for the approval of the teen library card.
Does anyone, would anyone like to second?
I'll second.
Okay, Bonnie got it first. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, teen library card has been approved. Next
Okay.
on your list, Ron.
The next thing is the approval of personnel action. They're all standard step increases according to the contract. I do need to amend it though. We have to add a change in status for Amy Colton. She
Oh,
cleared from the civil service list to fill the vacancy in the circulation department.
she's not on the list here, right?
No, that's why we need to add it.
So it's Amy Colton and she's, what is
She'll
she?
be a full-time library clerk.
Is this the person that you wanted to hire, or is this going back to the list?
This is going back to the list, but she is currently an employee and she actually finished second on the interviews.
So what was she before?
Part-time.
Ah, okay, so she's changing from
Part to
From-
full.
part to full.
I move that we approve all of these step actions, personnel actions,
Personnel actions as amended.
as amended, yeah.
All right.
Second.
Second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nope.
All right. Next, Ron,
Okay.
you wanna update? Okay,
The next thing is the mask wearing. There's been a lot of talk and a lot of confusion regarding the mask situation. New York State guidance allows business and private venues the right to establish rules requiring mask wearing. We can continue that for both vaccinated and unvaccinated people despite CDC guidance. And that's according to Governor Cuomo and legal experts. I am therefore recommending we require staff and patrons to continue wearing masks. I will be attending a webinar tomorrow where New York State libraries will be getting advice from a lawyer as to the best approach we can take on this.
Okay,
Literally has gone back and forth several emails every day since Monday. And this is the absolute latest we're looking at.
good.
Oh, can we say a time on this or
I really,
indefinitely?
I really don't want to put a time limit on it. I
No,
just announced that it's over because I feel if we put a time, say 2 weeks, 2 weeks, we probably would have to extend it. So I'd just rather continue it indefinitely.
Okay.
I agree.
I mean, currently, 47% of Chemung County has their first shot. 42% of Chemung County has gotten the second shot. We're well under the 70% herd immunity that the CDC keeps talking about.
Yeah,
Especially since we have children in and out of the library all day, and none
Yes.
of them under 12 can get vaccinated.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's wise.
And that way you're not, checking people's papers to make sure they're really vaccinated and they're not.
You
just
know, actually, you can ask them. We have,
Yeah, but I imagine that it's going to be a hassle.
But
and
yes,
you're
what
gonna
a
get
heck.
well, I don't want to, but I just read an article this afternoon. It's not a HIPAA violation. Everybody says it's a HIPAA violation, and it's not.
oh,
Heard that too.
HIPAA only applies in a medical situation.
good,
We
good
can
to know.
ask, are you vaccinated?
Right.
So, next thing I have is we agreed to assist the Arts Council in the Southern Tier Community Documentation Program. It's going to be a series of workshops from September to November. We will be providing training to workshop participants on digital editing and our equipment as part of the series. We'll manage equipment checkout and return. The materials, the items that we'll be checking out are purchased by grant funds, so it's not coming out of our budget. And we will also assist with outreach using materials provided by the Arts Council.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I still don't have a full write-up from it, but we've done this background work already.
Good.
The youth services has decided that in June is Pride Month. They want to conduct a drag queen story time on June 15th. The event is going to be held at Park Church, not on library grounds. The event will be paid for by donations generated after the last story time. I believe though that will address the 2 major issues that were brought up 18 months ago, or whatever it was, 19 months ago.
Oh,
But it will
interesting.
be staffed by library personnel and advertised by the library.
Yes, but we're going to make sure there's big disclaimers. It's being held at Park Church. This way, no child will walk into our library and, be upset by what they see.
Oh, please, it's the parents who are upset by what they see. The kids couldn't care less.
I'm trying to be diplomatic here.
No, I'm not.
Well, no, it's just, that was a big issue that folks had. And like I said, we got donations. We received, what, Holly, was it $600-700 in donations after the last one? So we're not using our money. And I think it's somewhat ironic in that we're doing it in conjunction with the church.
Corning Glass is doing a drag queen story time this Saturday morning, online, on Zoom.
Oh, really?
Yep, it's part of their activities for this new exhibit that's opening. They advertised it. You had to sign up for it, and the book they're reading is The Lady with the Ship on Her Head. That's all I know.
Yeah.
But I happen to have the book, so I'll probably watch the story time.
Oh, that's funny.
I just thought it was interesting that it was the Corning Glass that was doing a drag queen story time.
I did
Great.
too, after all that we went through.
They're doing one tonight too. They're having a program about,
Yes, I may leave this meeting by 7.
oh, you're gonna go to it? Ah,
I'm registered.
Okay.
That's all I got.
So
Ron,
that's all you got?
wait, Ron, I have a question.
Yeah.
Were we gonna, does the board need to vote on the Eagle Scout project at Horseheads?
Yes, they will.
When are we gonna do that?
I'm hoping to have it done for the executive committee meeting.
Okay.
I'm
'Cause
just
Owen,
waiting on one or two details.
okay, because the Friends meeting had talked about that, and again, hoping that they can move that along, so,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
All righty.
Okay, so in that case, has everyone had a chance to look at the executive committee minutes, assuming that you were not already there?
Yep.
Does anyone have any questions about anything that we covered during the executive committee? Okay. Budget and Finance Committee met for all of 30 seconds. We approved the bills. The minutes are in the board packet. Does anyone have any questions about those minutes? Okay.
No, but
moving on.
somebody should check on Jack.
Yeah.
We'll try calling tomorrow. Unless you want, so that's your call.
I might shoot him an email. I don't know if I have his number. Buildings and Grounds.
I have a
So,
question about the Horseheads Library building that's going to be added. What exactly is that? I'm sorry, I missed the last meeting.
It's going to be basically what they have out in Big Flats, only
Oh. Behind the library?
behind the library.
Okay, thank you.
so I guess there's two items. The first is the kitchens, or yeah, the staff break room is complete. Is there any update on selecting furniture?
Yes, I've received the request from the staff for the furniture. They're in the process of trying to select which refrigerator they want. So,
It's important.
So many choices.
well, that's the problem. There's too many, I think.
Important thing is keeping it clean.
But they've been very good about it.
And then the parking lot repaving, that's out to bid. And do we have an idea of when that's coming in? And then we'll have to vote whether to approve it or not. So this
Yes.
is really just an update.
We held the walkthrough of the parking lot project this afternoon. 5 different contractors showed up. I was pleasantly surprised. The bids are due next Wednesday. We will open the bids on June 3rd. And while I'm thinking about it, I would just like to be on the record as stating, depending on weather and other factors, there is a possibility we might have to close for a couple days. The plan is not to close at all, but just in case, I wanted you to be aware. The second thing was, the estimate that we received originally was $116,000. Southern Tier Library System gave us 58. I believe it's going to easily be close to total, I believe, off the top of my head, I think we're looking at more like 180 total project costs.
Wow.
We have the capital reserve funds. So we're good to go there.
And the only other thing I would say is we just got to make sure that it's state wage rate.
Yes, they were made aware of that today.
Okay. Anything else to add on that?
Nope.
Nope.
All right. So Personnel Committee, we're going to wait to go into executive session because it's going to be discussing Ron's evaluation. If that's cool with you, Penny.
Yes, ma'am.
And then on to the Election and Continuity Committee.
Yeah, we have 2 resolutions that we have to vote on, and I'll read them. The first is the Board of Trustees of the Chemung County Library District hereby authorizes the Election and Continuity Committee and the Election Commissioner to expend funds not to exceed $4,000 for the purpose of conducting the election. After the election, the committee will submit to the board a financial report dealing with these expenditures. Does anybody want to second that for me?
I'll second it.
Second.
Yeah.
And now will everybody approve? Aye.
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 Anybody disapprove? Okay,
Okay,
that's
that
passed. The second resolution is the Board of Trustees of the Chemung County Library District hereby appoint Sue Cook as election commissioner with the same duties and responsibilities as last year at a fixed fee of $1,500. I make that resolution. Does anybody want to second it for me?
I'll second.
Second.
And we vote aye.
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 Any nays? It's been approved. Does
Alright.
the people, Ann, have you contacted anybody that's interested?
I have contacted, but I have not been successful, so I'm going to try 2 more people. And I'll get back to you as soon as I get a yes.
Okay, good. The other people that are Rachel, Lee, Carl, and Jessica, and I presume they're all running since they haven't told me they are not.
Yes. Do we know when we'll get ballot petitions? Like when they'll be available to start getting signatures?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you, Rachel.
Sorry, when will ballot petitions be available so we can start collecting signatures?
Usually in the summer. I don't know.
Yeah, we have them. They're the same as last year. So if anyone wants one, they can contact me and I can get it to you online.
Okay, thank you.
We haven't talked at all, and about whether we're going to go door to door with those petitions again this year, or what we're gonna do about it. We have to talk about that yet.
It was nice not to have to do it last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this year is a little freer, but yeah, I'm not sure how to handle that.
Well, let us know what the guidance is once you've decided.
Okay,
Please. Thank you.
will do.
All right. Anything else that we need to discuss related to your committee? Okay, advocacy committee that hasn't met and doesn't really exist.
Hasn't met, no.
Okay. On to, let's skip ahead to the new business and then we'll circle back to executive session. So
Okay,
let's
what
talk
was-
about the wireless policy.
Yeah, I did have something printed out on that. What was that all about? Revision, it says.
Well, basically, we really didn't have a real wireless policy, but now that we've got the new equipment and we now have a secure, well, excuse me, we have a password now that people using our wireless have to put in. We just want to make sure that we're covered on that aspect.
And what was it we have to put in? Say if I wanted to use it, is it a library card number? Is it a?
It's
I can't-
basically, here, for example, here at Steel, it's all lowercase Elmira, 01. And Big Flats should be Big Flats, West Elmira should be West Elmira,
Oh,
Horseheads. It's just, we were getting issues with the number of people signing on because
Yeah.
found out sometimes as cars passing, the phones would connect. So we're trying to make it a tiny bit more secure for patrons.
I see.
So we need to approve this policy?
Well, if you want to approve it now, that's fine, but I was actually going to wait until June or the executive committee so that you had enough time to formulate any questions if you had them.
Well, does anyone have any questions right now other than the question that was just asked?
Well, do you have to put in the password every time, or will your phone automatically connect after you put in the password? Because I feel like if cars are just like randomly connecting when they drive by, I don't think a password would solve the problem.
Well, this is according to Deb Brimmer, our IT person. So I think you have to enter it every single time.
Okay.
Okay, I don't understand these things, I guess. You said that if you're near Steel, you have to put in Steel.
No, Elmira 01.
Oh, Elmira 01.
Yeah.
And Big Flats would be what?
Off the top of my head, I don't know, but it should be Big Flats and probably 01 as well. It's the name of the library.
Okay.
It's posted throughout the building, and it's
Oh, yeah.
posted, they tried to make it as user-friendly for everybody as possible. It's on the outside of the building, and so it's very accessible.
Oh, good. Okay, that's good.
I was at a Steel today, and it's right on the front door when you walk in.
And it's
Big
on
ladder,
the
so.
back of the building as well.
Along with a lot of other things. I had
I
trouble.
noticed it right away, though.
I did use it and it worked.
Oh, here it
I
is.
just want to say that I tried to download Hoopla, and
Yeah.
it gave me a lot of problems with both my iPhone and my iPad. So I asked Jenny if she could straighten it all out, and she let me come in and with my iPad and my own iPhone and got me all straightened out and got me registered with the app for Hoopla. So if anybody is having trouble, she's a great one to offer assistance. She's wonderful about doing it, and
Okay.
that was very helpful. The other thing is, while I was there, John said that we have a new embroidery machine in the makerspace. So if anybody is interested in any of those makerspace things, and he is very knowledgeable and very helpful.
Oh.
Is that what you've got?
Yeah, this was just a draft version of a bag with the CCLD logo embroidered.
Great.
Yeah, they were learning how to use the machine.
So I imagine it's pre-programmed and you do it like you would do with the printer.
My daughter has enjoyed the makerspace, and I think she's a techie person, and she says that John has taught her so many things and given her so many good ideas, and that he's very, very smart and very, very helpful. And I know that Jenny has been great. We have to spread the word that people should know about them because they are really exceptional.
Great.
I would say
Steve is just as good as well. Like Steve's a great guy too. Yeah, he's the other guy in there.
John is the one I usually see.
Uh-huh.
I agree.
Yeah,
you could write letters to the director. Thanking them.
I missed that.
You could write letters to the director telling him how great they are.
Well, Ron, please
That'd
do
be
pass
nice.
on the praise from our board members. I think it's important that they get a chance to hear that.
Yes. And it'll also be reflected in the minutes, and they have to read the board packet when it goes out. So.
Cool. All righty. So we're not voting on the wireless policy today. if you have any additional questions that arise for Ron between now and the executive committee, please ask them about that policy, and then hopefully we can vote on it at that meeting. All right. Is there any new business before we get down to Ron's evaluation? All right. I move that we enter executive session so that we can discuss Ron's evaluation. Can I get a second?
Thank you.
Second.
All right. All in favor? Aye. So Ron, if you could stop the recording and pass control to me.
I'm going to do
gonna-
that right now.